The pandemic has meant many people around the world are staying home and relying on delivery services for their meals. For delivery workers, this is an opportunity to make money. But that opportunity is not without its risks. Tonight in our Sunday Special report, we meet some delivery workers and find out what it's like to deliver food on the front line.
Let's follow delivery driver Wu Tsung-che on his typical day of work and see what it's like delivering during the pandemic. Since the pandemic worsened, masks have been a must. Wu covers his neck too and slips his arms into long sleeves. Before gloves are worn, he sprays sanitizer on his hands.
那这边也给它喷一下。那这分装的酒精，那我们出门之前啊，都会把它分装好。
Aside from protecting himself, Wu also ensures his delivery box is clean and sanitized.
我昨天晚上有先把它全部清洗过一次，那早上的时候干了，我有在酒精再喷过。
From here, he opens his delivery app and reports on his health condition.
先接单，那我今天感觉身体一切正常，那我就按了勾。那他跟我有戴着面罩和口罩，那么按下去之后，他就有一个叫我们自拍，证明一下我们真的有戴口罩。
The app connects with a system that uses AI to analyze his responses. Only after passing an approval process can he begin to accept jobs.
那现在我们看到有单子了，在它这结束之前，我们就按下去，不然这单就没办法接到。你好，5C6。
Wu's first stop is a beverage shop. In the past, he would pick up his order and leave at once, getting the order to his customer in the least time possible. But these days, delivery drivers must have sanitizer on hand and must spray the packaging of their order before placing it in the delivery box.
所以等下还要再去拿另外一个再。
另外一家在星巴克。
这样算是叠单吗？
对，这是叠单。
Now that people are staying home as a pandemic measure, orders at the two largest delivery services have grown by 20 to 30%. To keep up, drivers are taking 2 or more orders at the same time. This is the new norm of the pandemic. In order to maximize their income during the peak lunch periods, many delivery drivers put off eating lunch until later in the afternoon. Since indoor eating is now banned at restaurants, drivers must take their lunch breaks on the side of the road.
在前一阵子还要偷偷摸摸的，现在陈时中说我们在比较没有人的地方可以这样吃。
Taking bites of his rice ball here and there while conversing, Wu finishes his meal. But just as he's about to leave, the sky opens up and there's a downpour. Rain is an unwelcome challenge for delivery drivers who are already dealing with the risks associated with the pandemic. Some of those who choose to do deliveries are trying to pay off debt or have other short-term financial needs. However, there are also some who just dislike having fixed work hours. They want more freedom and flexibility in their lives. Su Bo-hao is one such person. Su once started his own business. He's also an activist who once ran for office as a legislator. After losing his election, he found himself with little savings to his name, so he started doing deliveries. It's been 4 years since. Su helps delivery workers fight for their rights, and that takes him to union meetings across the country. With all this running around, delivery work is his perfect job, offering the flexible work hours he needs.
它自由度很高。
Doing deliveries offers a high degree of freedom. I can do things completely according to my own schedule. If I suddenly get a call and there's something I need to take care of, I can immediately go offline and take care of my stuff.
Jobs like delivery work, where you can arrange your time as you see fit, are part of a rising global trend known as the gig economy. After the start of the pandemic last year, lots of Taiwanese who became furloughed or jobless turned to delivery work, meeting a spike in demand for food deliveries. In Taiwan, there were roughly 50,000 delivery drivers in 2019. This year, that number has surged to 87,000. With people staying home during the pandemic, many rely on food delivery for their 3 meals of the day. Consequently, there is much money to be made making such deliveries. In the past, those putting in 90 hours of work a week could make roughly 70,000 NT per month. These days, for the same amount of work, it's possible to rake in over 100,000 NT per month. While this high salary may seem appealing, it comes with a high degree of risk. Not only is there the risk of traffic accidents, but now with the pandemic, drivers also face the risk of infection. Drivers use a lot of sanitizer while doing their job, and they must pay for this out of pocket. However, finding shops with sanitizer in stock is another challenge.
因为很不好买啦。
It's really hard to buy. The sanitizer most of my colleagues are using now is what they have left over from last year. If I want to buy a bottle myself, I have to run around to 10 or 20 shops before I find stock.
它这个3.0，它其实是规范。
In version 3.0 of the Delivery Driver's Guidelines, it stipulates that food delivery platforms carry a certain level of responsibility. For example, as we just mentioned, there is the issue of worker safety and sanitation. Things we need during the pandemic, like masks, sanitizers, and protective eyewear, should be provided by the company. The burden shouldn't be on the drivers to buy these things.
Although delivery platforms are offering assorted protective supplies to drivers in Taipei and New Taipei City, only those who deliver above a certain amount are eligible to receive them.
像各地的工会，我们也都是各自先想办法。
All of the local unions have come up with their own solutions, although the supplies provided cost a bit more. For example, the union in Taichung procured 60 barrels and offered them for drivers to buy. Meanwhile, our union in Taipei has been in touch with a supplier.
Aside from delivering and picking up food, drivers sometimes need to handle cash and give change. These are potential vectors of transmission for disease. If customers are indeed sick, delivery drivers have no way of knowing it. To better protect workers, Taiwan's 2 major food delivery platforms encourage customers to pay virtually and encourage contactless food delivery. However, since not all customers are able to go contactless, one of the platforms continues to take payment in cash.
这些他没有信用卡，但他又需要外送的这一群人。
Some people don't have credit cards, but they still need food delivered, so we don't want them to be left out of this vital service. In the meantime, what we are trying to do is encourage online payments. Right now, we offer a discount aimed at those who pay online.
However, the other delivery platform has temporarily suspended cash payments altogether.
从5月20号起
On May 20th, we took the lead in implementing fully contactless food delivery. In all 18 counties and municipalities we service nationwide, we enforce the policy of leaving food at the door and accepting only online payments.
So-called contactless food delivery involves a change in payment methods. It also sees delivery drivers leaving food at a specified location. After informing customers that food has been delivered, drivers leave the location and customers come to retrieve their food. It seems easy enough, but in practice, hiccups do occur.
The app has an option for the customer to tell the driver to leave the food at the door or to say they want contactless delivery. However, in many situations, there are customers who, despite having selected that option, will open their door and come out when the delivery is being made. Or they will send a message after the order has been placed and ask the driver to bring the food up to their floor.
如果我们今天在上楼的过程之中
Let's say the customer wants the food brought up to their floor. They themselves may not be infected, but maybe their neighbor or someone on a floor below them is infected, and the customer won't tell you this. If one of those people is infected, what do? It's also possible that the customer has a latent infection, and they don't even know about it.
A driver makes 20 to 40 deliveries per day, which puts them in contact with nearly 100 people. If just one driver becomes infected, the virus could spread to one customer after the next. That driver would become what's known as a super spreader. If a delivery worker is infected while on the job, is that considered an occupational injury? According to the Labor Ministry, infections that occur while carrying out one's work duties or while at one's place of work are considered occupational injuries. However, the problem is that very few delivery workers are covered under labor insurance. Since most do not have labor insurance, there is no way for them to apply for compensation when injured. Infection is not the only risk that delivery workers face. To earn greater income, drivers are on the road day and night, and are at greater risk of traffic accidents. If an accident occurs, will the delivery platform share the responsibility? Currently, there is no clear answer. The relationship between platforms and their drivers remains a gray area.
以外送平台来说，它强调他们是自由业。
The delivery platforms insist that their workers are independent contractors. However, in the process of doing their jobs, you can see faint signs of restrictions that are placed on workers. For example, you have to wear clothing with the platform emblem on it. Also, when you're doing a delivery, you can't say it is a delivery from Mr. So-and-so. You have to say it is a Food Panda delivery, right? So you're still under their label. If it were true contract work, then you deliver something, you don't need to say, I'm here from Food Panda.
Labor law says that employees are workers who are managed and supervised, and whose employers are responsible in the event of workplace accidents. Contract workers are those who only need to complete their work in accordance with their contracts, and who are not subject to very much instruction and supervision from their contractee. When contracted workers encounter accidents while working, contractees are not held responsible. The Labor Ministry is now advocating that delivery platforms and their drivers be considered an employer-employee relationship, while the food and beverage providers they deliver for be considered contractees. The government and delivery platforms have not yet reached a consensus. In the meantime, only about 40% of full-time delivery workers have labor insurance. Delivery drivers are now an all-too-common sight on city streets around the world. Their presence is a sign of progress and adaptability during the pandemic, but with regard to their labor rights, much progress remains to be made.